This video is for my children so that they can learn some of the lessons that I've acquired throughout my career as a CEO. So yesterday I ran into an issue with a staff member. They're going through some personal matters, and I won't go into too much detail because really this can be applied to anything. But essentially, it got me thinking. There's this fallacy going around that you have to be like the tough leader. You can't give anybody slack. The weakest link is usually the one dragging your organization down. You have to take a hard line with everybody no matter what's going on, because as a leader you have to be hard in order to maintain respect. And as I've worked with other bosses and stuff like that, I've been not employed per se, but I was a contractor for a company for many years, and the owner, who I once considered a friend and what's that word, mentor, he actually took a hard line with me, and so that's where I kind of solidified that same type of mentality throughout the years during my reign. And as I've matured in my leadership and in my business, I've understood that that's actually not the correct way to do stuff. And I mean, even Sun Tzu, in his works mentions that if you treat your soldiers as your children, then they'll march into the gates of hell for you. And I found that to be very true, because as I mentioned, that mentor and friend is a former friend and mentor, because after I remember many years ago I was going through a breakup, and I mean I'm sure everyone here has been through a breakup, and even my son and my daughter. But when you get to that point, it's an extremely low point. You're going through a lot of feelings, you're processing a lot of emotions, and you're just not feeling nowhere near 100%. And that can creep into your work and your family life, and everything that you're doing. It just creeps in everywhere. And I remember I was going through this extremely tough time, and I didn't really feel like getting out of bed. Honestly, I was making so much money every day from my other business I didn't have to, and he needed me to do some work for him, because I was a CEO at that time, but I was doing IT contract work for this guy. And so he got in his head that I was one of his employees or whatever. So I was like just in bed. I didn't want to come work on some stupid computer at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I was like, yeah, I'll just go in. I have a key to the building anyways. I'll go in at like 5, 6. I don't really want to see anyone. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't really want to rush and get out of here because I'm just not feeling good. And he called mid-afternoon, and he was like, hey, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, I'm just not feeling good. I'm going through a breakup. I'm just depressed, man. He was like, man, well, you gotta get over it, dude. Like, you got some work to do and all that kind of stuff. And like, at the time, I was nowhere near as assertive, and like I didn't have like a no nonsense approach to stuff as I do now. But then I was like, dang, you're probably right, and I need to get up. And it was like that mentality of you guys keep trucking or whatever. But I was already trucking, like I was going to the gym. I was getting a lot of work done for my business. But he took that hard line with me, because it wasn't because he wanted me to get up. He wasn't telling me to go to the gym or anything or do anything healthy. He took that hard line because he wanted me to benefit him. And so I was like, oh, whatever, I'll get there or whatever. I think I still ended up showing up late because, I mean, like I said, I was making thousands of dollars a day. And I mean, he made like that job maybe paid like $150 or something like that. So I was like, I'll come in when I feel like it for the most part. But I remember him taking that hard line, and it kind of sat with me for the rest of our relationship, in the back of my mind, like, oh, this dude, or this guy is like only using me for et cetera, et cetera. Like he doesn't actually care about me as a person. And that was one of the points that was like kind of one of the tipping, like one of the start of the tipping point right there. Because our relationship did not end on a good note, and I'm fine with that. But the point is, yesterday, and I mean, even throughout the years, I've had employees. I've taken different approaches with employees. I've tried, a number of different leadership methods, and the ones that I always show leniency towards, I've noticed that they were willing to do a lot. They were willing to go a lot further for me. And at one point, even one of the women, one of my old managers, she put her life. She was, try to put her life on the line for me. We were unloading a pallet. I remember this till the day I die. We were unloading a pallet of beer bottles. It was it was stacked like super high, probably well above regulation. But I want to say it was probably at least several, a couple of like at least 1,000 pounds or so, like at least a ton and a half of just beer bottles, and it was stacked super high. I'm 5'9". It was probably stacked about a good 10 feet, and it was even higher than that because it was on the lift gate of my truck, and as we were letting it down, it started to topple towards me, and I was at the bottom of it trying to keep it stabilized. And I remember two of my managers and two of my maintenance guys were there with me, and one employee. And the two managers were sitting maybe 15 feet away at a table just watching us, bring in all the inventory. Maintenance guys, one was up on the truck, one was beside me. And the other staff member was actually her daughter, the manager I'm talking about, that she was sitting at the table with the other managers, and the pallet began to topple, and it started raining down on me. I was like holding it, and there were beer bottles just flying all around me, and like it was, it looked like it was going to fall on me. It wasn't going to. I had it under control, but it looked like it was going to, and I can see from their perspective how it looked super dangerous, like something was about to happen, something bad. And I'll never forget it. The maintenance dudes were like panicking. They kind of froze. They were like, "Oh snap!" And the one on the truck was like kind of trying to pull it back towards him. The one beside me stepped back to just let it, whatever happened was going to happen. One of my managers, they ended up staying on, that I had to get rid of because she ended up trying to sabotage the company. She stayed there, didn't move. The daughter didn't move. But she was also extremely young. She didn't have the capacity to do anything. But that one manager I'm talking about, she got up and she was like darting over to either push me out of the way or grab the pallet too. And by the time she got there, we had everything stabilized. But like I remember like looking back, and like she was the only one that made any kind of action towards me. And she was also the employee who, on or like the manager who on like Thanksgiving, their family was going through a tough time. I gave them a turkey, like an extra turkey, like a free turkey. On Christmas, they couldn't afford to get their daughter what they needed to. So I would like buy them like big gifts, like these big gifts, like hundreds of dollars worth of gifts, to make sure that their daughter was having a good Christmas and stuff like that. I would like put extra money on her check, and she'd be like, I think I got overpaid, and I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I took care of her, be like she was, like one of my own children, and because of that, she was willing to go above and beyond, well above and beyond, to make sure that I was okay. And she did end up leaving the company a couple of years ago, just because just some inner turmoil. I have no ill will towards her, and I don't really. There was a lot of like gossip surrounding it. I don't really know what to believe about it, but the manager who stayed, tried to paint her in a bad light. I don't totally believe it, just based on everything that she did for me and vice versa. But I noticed that, like, and it's not just her, but other employees over the years that I tried to go the extra mile for and take care of as my own people, as my own family. They ended up in return doing the same for me. And so yesterday, there was a staff member who, like I said, was having, they're having some kind of personal issues, and I've been extremely hurt a lot, especially over these past couple of years, from like betrayals and stuff like that, and my staff and family and friends. And like I said, I've been going through the wilderness. God's been burning away a lot of two-faced people, a lot of snakes that were in my midst, a lot of rats who were trying to just gnaw their way in and gnaw their way at my objective. And so I'm very standoffish, especially when it comes to staff members. I'm very standoffish when it comes to making new friends. And because I mean, you really don't know who to trust. Like, I mean, I've had family members betray me. I've had friends who I thought were my best friends. They tried to like topple my company, stuff like that. And so I'm very, very cold. But I got a message yesterday from the Lord, and He said it's okay to be vulnerable and to open up. Like He's gifted me with some extremely talented people now. And I know if I keep going the way I've been going, then I'm gonna scare them off. And so I opened up, my hands to help yesterday, and it was returned, and there was massive gratitude sent my way that I believe to be very sincere. And so I did, just like I said, this is a message to my children. When you're running this business, make sure that you, like, our soldiers are our people. Like, they're gonna be the front lines of our future and of our mission. They're gonna stop things from getting to us before we even see it. They're going to prevent issues that might arise. They're going to take it into their own hands to defend us, to attack for us, like in our stead, if we miss some things. Because even though we have the eagle eye, we still can't see everything. And so I just implore you to just remember the people around you. Remember that there are good people left still. And even though you might get betrayed, there's a lot more bad people than good people. I'll say that. But just don't close your heart or your mind off ever to the possibility that there are good people out there, because you will reap the harvest of good friends and good soldiers around you. And just don't go cold, and lead with integrity. If you treat people fairly, like I've also noticed that when me as a leader, I've always treated people fairly. If someone got fired, I was never sitting there like, man, I'm gonna withhold their last check, or they got the like $200 in tips this last week, but they weren't doing their job. Man, I'm gonna keep those tips, man. Like, I've never been like that. I'll never be like that. Whenever someone leaves, I say, blessings to them. I hope that wherever you go, you'll find peace. Like, I've had people yell at me. I've had staff members threaten to come back and shoot me. And I've been like, I literally can't. I literally try my best with people to train them and get them up to par, but sometimes you just can't work with people. And like, even in the face of threats and of violence, I don't try to counter back, because I mean, let me just say this: I'm trained in a lot of forms of combat, and it'd be extremely easy for me to go into that and be like, oh, well, you're gonna shoot me, like, good luck, and I'm a trained boxer and stuff like that. But I don't ever bring up any of that stuff. And I mean, you my children will be trained in what I'm trained in, plus and then some. but you never want to go to that point. You just always want to let people go in peace, and it's not a turn the other cheek type thing. It's more of like, you don't want to sit it. It's not seated in weakness. It's seated in actually like genuinely hoping that someone is able to find their way out of the darkness that brought them to this point. Because we run our company very very righteously. We run it smooth. We run it good. You know, in like there was a time where we accidentally charged somebody who was out of town. Like they were visiting from Mississippi. They were guests from Mississippi. We overcharged them like $20, and we didn't catch the issue until a month later. They hadn't left a review. They didn't like email in or call in anything about a complaint. They didn't notice. And I was like, oh, we overcharged them $20. And so I not only refunded them the same that day, but also emailed them back and was like, hey, that was our bad. I apologize for this. Here's the money back, and we hope to see you next time if you're ever back in the state. Like it's my understanding that most businesses wouldn't even do that. Like if you get overcharged and like you don't say anything for months, or like a couple of weeks or a month later, like that the company's gonna keep your money. Like it's just standard operating procedure at most companies. But we operate always above board, and we always try to do right by people, like not only our people but the people who come through our doors. And I kind of got off track with that, but yeah, I just want to just like when people go, just it's not because we did something bad to them. It's because something was going on in here that they decided to do something bad to us. And so if you always look at it like that, like we're never being harmed, we're always being protected, then it's easier to understand that, or to take the stance of, I hope that down the road that you find blessings, and I hope that the Lord continues to guide you and look after you on your journey forward. And like sincerely mean that, because what like there's nothing good that comes from betraying something that is good. Like there has to be something in that person that will make them betray a child of God. And so you just have to pray that spirit gets settled, and that's all you can do. But I don't want to keep rambling on this. Just treat our soldiers well. Treat your friends well, and that's all you can do. And don't give up, because there are good people out there, and the Lord will continuously send you good people as long as you're a good person. So just I'll leave you with that. Is my name. Amen.